Hey yo, what's going on, everybody? Derek here. Welcome back. Another video, another day, another dollar. Welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Derek, covering everything wholesaling real estate on this channel, specifically virtual wholesaling real estate, as that's what I'm doing. Living out here in California, sourcing opportunity in Houston, Texas. So if you're in the Houston market, drop a comment, let me know. I'd love to network, see if we can make something shake on a deal or two. Don't really know exactly what I'm going to get into today. I kind of explained that in the description of the video here. I want to keep my foot on the gas going into the holidays here, but I also want to be respectful of the fact that it is the holiday season and Christmas is approaching in a few days here. But again, I do want to keep my foot on the gas, knowing that other people are likely taking their foot off and may have even stopped marketing to some degree. So, more opportunity out there within the next few days than usual, at least less competition, I would imagine. So, again, my name is Derek. If you take anything away from this video, I appreciate it if you dropped a like, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I go live, try to go live once a day, Monday through Friday. Got a goal here of hitting 75 subscribers by the end of the year. Got about 10 days left, so need about an average of like 2 subscribers a day. Pretty confident that we can do that. So again, if you take anything away from the video, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed and shared it with somebody who you think may take something away from the video as well. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of got a lot of tabs open right now. I had a free year subscription of PropStream that I won last year that just ran out. So I'm gonna have to sign up for that. I don't know what I would do without PropStream, to be quite honest. Have PropStream open all day, every day. It's where I house my lists. Jim Shorts Joe, hey Derek, what calling software you use? I use Call Tools to dial. And then I just downloaded the app Sideline. Type it out here. Call Tools for my dialer. Sideline app for my follow-ups. And then I use Google Voice for my local, quote unquote cell phone. So I will have like a bunch of numbers, man. And then I buy slash pay for caller IDs in my Call Tools dialer, and I buy slash pay for phone numbers to text off of Call Tools, and our numbers to connect ratio is bad. I was for know if the website. I'm not following you there, Jim Shorts. You use Call Tools and our numbers to connect ratio is bad. You should have a low contact rate, is what I'm gathering from that. I was from know if the website. I don't understand that last part, but check your reputation within Call Tools. Hop over to when you're in your manager dashboard, hop over to your PBX tab, and then go to caller ID and then caller IDs, and then it'll list all of the caller IDs that you have. They added this new thing, attestation. And it'll give you a little ranking. A is the highest rating a call can receive. Phone numbers provided by us always have an A rating. An attestation of B may result in more failed calls and lower connection rates. So double check that your caller IDs aren't listed as a B attestation. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Attestation. And then under controls, it'll give you a little magnifying glass next to each phone number, and then you can just click the magnifying glass and it'll check the reputation. So I'm checking mine right now. My first one, caller ID, and it lists the number is not flagged as a robocaller. The next one, not flagged as robocaller. Next one, not flagged. Next one, not flagged. So I have A for that. Yeah, and then just double check, go down the list of um, your caller IDs and hit that magnifying glass and just double check that none of them are being flagged as spam or robocaller as they're referring to it. Um, and then you also kind of want to. I mean, I have 4 caller IDs with the amount of numbers I'm dialing. I think that's even still low. People, I forget what like the general rule of thumb is, but it's like 150 dials a day per phone number, which really isn't that many when you're dialing off of 5 lines in a campaign. You can get 150 dials within like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Um, so depending on your budget, you may want to just get more caller IDs to be sure that you're not calling off of that same number and dialing like thousands of numbers a day with that one caller ID or that 2 caller ID numbers. Just, more is more in this situation. You better to play it safe and get more caller IDs. And then I don't know if you've heard me go on like rants about this with call tools, but um, what I would also do for you is double check. I would go into reports, I would go into performance, and then either agent performance or campaign performance. If you're just like referring to one campaign where you had a low contact rate, you can double check. And I would scroll to the right and double check. I think this is where, yeah, calls outbound abandon. Just double check that your abandon rate isn't something super high. If it is, then I have 2 pieces of recommendation for you in terms of that. Uh, I would go into the contact center and then go to campaigns. And for that campaign that you just looked at, I would go to the what do you call that? Like little not radio, but there's 3 dots under the controls all the way to the far right. And then I would go to settings to open up your campaign settings. And then I would scroll down and go to calling options where it says agent connect speed. Now, this is something that I talk about quite often. Now, this is referring to, it says right here, the agent connect speed determines how fast we connect a callee to your waiting agents only when your campaign is using answering machine detection. So if you click fast, I have all my campaigns at fast, meaning that I'm going to get connected to more voicemails than somebody who has it as slow. But I'm able to connect with the people a little bit quicker. So what this is determining is the speed in which the software is detecting whether or not the person picking up is an actual human or an answering machine. So if you choose slow, then you're sacrificing the first few seconds of the phone call to allow the software more time to make that determination. So you are sacrificing, again, a few seconds in the beginning of the call. And those few seconds are actually pretty precious and valuable because think about it. When somebody calls you and you pick up and you say hello and nobody says anything, I hang up immediately. If I say hello, maybe a second hello, nobody's there, hang up, right? So that's what the abandon rate is within call tools. Now, if you click fast, that means that you're giving the software less time to determine whether or not it's an actual human or a voicemail, which means you're going to get connected to more voicemails. But to me, it's worth it because that will reduce my abandon rate. It's going to connect me quicker. And all it takes for me is just a quick second to say, no contact, or I actually set up my own call disposition that is titled voicemail machine, just so that I can track that. How often is it actually connecting to a voicemail when I am, choosing to connect fast? So I would do that, and then I would also um, just be very, very, very intentional about how quickly you're dispositioning your calls. So when you get off the phone, what I've been making a point to do is going as quickly as possible and freeing up the line, because for all you know, if you're dialing off of multiple lines, there may be somebody on another line saying hello, waiting for you to say something back, but you're not there to say it. So the quicker you can disposition your calls and say, contact made, submit, on to the next. The quicker you can do that, the quicker the lines free up and the quicker you can connect to somebody if they are waiting for you on the other line. So, um, I'm trying to think of anything else, but those are the few things. Reputation of your phone numbers, the speed in which you want to connect. I personally do fast on everything for this exact reason, and then how quickly you disposition your calls. Make it be very intentional about the second you hang up. Contact made, boom, boom, boom. Set your follow ups if you want to. Set your calendar events if you want to. Leave your notes if you'd like to. But be very intentional about it and try to make it as quick as possible, and then just on to the next, so that it frees up the line, and then it'll allow you to connect to somebody if they are there waiting. Excuse me. But I think that's for the most part. And then how many lines are you dialing off of? So within those campaign settings, again, under the calling options, underneath the agent connect speed that I'm referring to, where you click fast, normal, or slow, it'll say channels per agent. I dial off of anywhere between 3 to 5 lines, depending on how many times I've already dialed through the list. If this is the first time I'm dialing through the list, I try to keep it lower because I'm gonna get more answers. Granted, a lot of these answers are probably gonna be wrong numbers, but still, the less lines you're calling off of, the more opportunity you have to actually be on the phone with somebody. So if you go all the way up to 10 lines that you're dialing off of, you can only be talking to one person. So not only are you going to burn through your data way quicker, but your abandon rate is likely going to increase because you'll be on line one talking to somebody, and then somebody answers on line three, line six, line eight, nine, and 10. And you weren't there to talk to any of those people. And all of those people said hello, hello, and you weren't there. And then they hung up, and all of those were abandoned, um, which is going to reduce your contact rate. So you kind of have to play with it, right? You know, it's nice to just be like talking to people back to back to back, but just know that if that's happening, you're likely losing out on opportunity to speak with people who are on the other lines. Hopefully that makes sense. That's all. I think that's everything that really would affect that. Um, yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but and this is something that I've been playing with and I've been trying to figure out myself, and I've come to the realization and determination that all those things that I just mentioned play a huge factor in the contact rate. So, and you'll be able to tell pretty much right out of the gate when you go to look at your reports, um, just cross referencing your contact rate and your abandon rate. All right. Wanted to start. I have a couple of people who texted me back last afternoon. I just wanted to disposition these people. Um, yeah. So just hopping through here, like I said, going through some of the tech that I received. If this is your first time tapping in here to my live stream, I don't work off of a central CRM. So a lot of the times when people text me back, those same people will be in my dialer. So if they're going to tell me no, or if they're going to tell me, yeah, I'm interested in, we further a conversation through my texting platform, I just want to make sure that I pull them up in my dialer to remove them from the campaign so that I'm not calling those same people, especially the people who say that they are interested, because I'm going to call them and I'm not going to remember, and I'm going to give them my typical cold call pitch. And it happened one time, which is what prompted me to implement this into my kind of process. I called somebody and he was like, "Yeah, we're talking already." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." So just want to prevent that from happening. Um, this guy said 300,000, which seems high in comparison to this estimate, but I do know, I was mentioning this yesterday, in this area where I was driving for dollars, there's a lot of gentrification. And although the homes, current market value for the homes itself are not very high, there are a lot of townhomes going up, and people, developers are buying these lots of land for around that price. It's like kind of odd, right? Like the his home right now in its current state probably worth less than 100,000, 85, 80,000 tops. But if you were to tear his house down and get the lot build ready, people are buying those lots for 300,000 and then building townhomes that are selling for, 1.2 mil plus. So he said 300,000. It's kind of one of those areas where people know exactly what their homes are worth and what things are going for, because there's so much gentrification going on around them, and they're just like the last ones to hold out. I always think of the Disney movie Up, when I run across an area like this. If you've seen it, just the older gentleman is, stubborn and doesn't want to sell his house, and all these big developers are coming down and building all around him, and he has just this one house, and he's holding out, right? He doesn't want to sell because he has sentimental value, attached to the property. So it's the same thing, right? People know, they see everything going on around them. People are building homes literally right across the street, and have probably been approached by hundreds of people about selling their property, which is why, this gentleman texted me right away, $300,000 only. I said, all right, I'll round back my partner and see if we can make that happen. I was meaning to run some comps in the area to just, what I want to do is get just like a blanket uh, value for homes in this area. A lot of them are the same exact size lot. So if anybody shows a little bit of interest in this area on this driving for dollars list that I have here, it's the area that I'm driving and I'm continuing to drive. So it'll be beneficial for me to just have kind of a blanket value um, that I can assign anytime anybody shows any interest, because in this area, there is no point really in, um, well, I mean, I guess there's a point, but in terms of highest and best use of, or not highest, but best use of the land, it's to tear down these older houses and to build and to provide it to a developer to build townhomes. Um, it just wouldn't make much sense to remodel an existing single family house in this area, because they were built in like the 40s and 50s, and these townhomes are being built right next to them, in 2015, 2016, within the last 5 years. So it's just, in terms of the return on the investment, it wouldn't make much sense to remodel a single family here. You'd get more of a return if you were to tear down and build new development. So I think I set myself a task to just run some comps, like I was saying. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I'm going to tag him as follow up, and um, follow up if numbers make sense. Round back and discuss. That help, gym shorts? I know you're probably over there trying to figure it out, but just want to make sure that that was helpful because I know the feeling. I was going through the same exact thing. It's definitely a learning curve. Called tools. It's not for the weak. All right. Sabrina says sorry, not for sale. Oh, so same name, different address. So I'm going to go ahead and leave her in my dialer just in case. Wrong person. Please stop texting me. All right, Robert. This is the gentleman who's just like very honest with me thus far. He was like, "Look, Derek, I'm gonna go with the highest bidder. So I'm an investor myself. Tenants moving out. We're gonna fix it up a little bit, and just we're not going to list it on market, but we're going to come up with a starting price, and we're going to take the highest bidder. So it's probably not something that I'm going to be able to win on, especially if he's communicating with investors directly, like directly to cash buyers, because I'm going to have to carve out an assignment fee for myself. So probably not one that I'm going to end up pursuing, but I'm just continuing the conversation. I followed up with him yesterday because we last left off, and he was like, "Hey, tenants in the process of moving out. We're like a month or two away from the point of actually selling it." This was on December 1st, so I followed up, 3 weeks later yesterday. Um, I was like, "Hey, did you guys come up with an asking price yet?" Because that's what he was saying. He said, "We're gonna wait." Well, this is his response. "Hey, still in the process of getting the renters out. Then we're gonna do kind of an evaluation of the current condition, and then go from that point. We have ballpark offers from 200 to 230K, but I understand the higher numbers are for in top condition, and it is in need of freshening up, carpet, etc. Check back first week in January, see where we're at if you're still interested." I was like, "All right, we'll do. Thanks for getting back to me. Have happy holidays." And he said, "Certainly, and you be safe and sound during a disturbing time in human history with all this going on." I'm gonna pull him up on Zillow real quick, just see what his estimate's looking like to see if 200 and 230 is like reasonable. So 230 is this estimate. I'd imagine. Okay, I remember this. I think I actually ran comps. Well, I checked this area out. I didn't take note of the comps, but I'm pretty sure things in this area are going for like 250. So it's pretty high. I don't really think that I'll be able to um, make this one happen. But I left a follow up for myself first week of January to round back, ask if they have an asking price, ask about the current condition, and then say possibly reverse wholesale this one and just bring the buyer so that I don't, mess around. Because again, this isn't going to be one where I'm going to be able to really carve out myself a sizable assignment fee because I'm going to be just competing with other bidders. So, anybody who is any of my competition on this deal, if they are a cash buyer themselves, they'll be able to outbid me because they don't have to carve out an assignment fee. All they have to do is carve out their own profit. So it may be one where I just present it to a cash buyer, in my database, one of my VIP buyers, and say, "Hey, here's the opportunity. This guy's selling. I would just want a little bit of a referral fee or whatever, if possible." So definitely something to continue the conversation on, but nothing to get too excited about. this gentleman texted me back off the first text yesterday. I said, "Hey, can we talk about it?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Great. What can you tell me about the current condition?" And he didn't text me back. So I'm going to. This is the wrong number, so that's good. I'm going to place this guy in a marketing campaign, and say, um, possibly interested, but not right now. Let's see what those first few texts look like. Thanks for talking with me about address. If you have questions, I'm here to help. We'd love to work with you soon to purchase. Yeah, this one's good. Warm. It's where I've been putting a lot of my follow up campaigns, or these people in, is the warm. So this guy again, all he said was yes to can we talk about it. For all I know, it's not even the right person or the real person. Something that you got to be wary of is people messing around with you, especially through text. They'll lead you on and lead you to believe that it's the real person, and that you know they have a great opportunity for you. Just be cautious of the fact that people are bored, and they'll lead you on when it's not even the real person, right? I've heard horror. I just mentioned this yesterday. I think I've heard horror stories of wholesalers pursuing opportunities that they've generated through text, literally scheduling appointments to show up to the property, and then showing up to the property and the real homeowner being there like, what are you doing here? I've never talked to you before. What are you talking about? And then being like, oh, we got played, right? So just be careful of that. I don't know if that's the situation here. Again, all this guy said was yes, we can talk about the property. And then when I asked one pre-qualifying question, he did not respond. So just going to place him in a. It's not something that I'm going to like actively follow up with and set manual follow-ups for myself. I'm just going to put him into another drip campaign where he's going to get texted every so often. And then if he replies to that with a favorable response, I may start setting manual follow-ups, but at this point, it's not really worth it. Don Juan, yo, what up? Just started? Yep. Just hopped on here a little bit ago. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of housekeeping before I start marketing for the day. And when I say housekeeping, I was just mentioning this, but um, I just like cross-referencing my dialer and my texting platform because there's some overlap. So if somebody's going to tell me yes or no through text, I prefer to remove them from my dialing campaign so that I don't waste my time and energy trying to call that same person just to get another no. It just takes me a quick second to hop over, remove them from my dialer campaign, and then can kind of keep it pushing. So, you know what I didn't think about? Don Juan too. I think this came up yesterday with you, with that buyer uh, trying to play you. Um, if you if you had a buyer lined up for that deal, what I would recommend is to file a memorandum of contract with your county clerk office. Um, it's gonna. I mean, again, this is just going off of that same conversation we had. Depends on how much effort you want to put towards it. It sounded like a $3,000 to $4,000 deal, but um, maybe worth it. It'll cloud title so that you can at least get paid by the other buyer, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with memorandums, but essentially what it is just putting everybody on notice. Hey, I had every intention on buying this property, and the seller. I was thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, it came up in my. I got off my live stream, and then I hopped over to my coaching little group chat, and somebody had the same exact situation, and I was like, oh, you file memorandum, and I was like, wait, Don, this is the same exact thing as Don Juan. So yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to pursue that route, I think it may be worth it. I've never personally filed a memorandum, but um, as long as you had a buyer in place, and you're very, very, very confident that you would have been able to fulfill your obligations in the contract, then I would file a memorandum, and that way that other buyer is gonna not be able to close on that property without your say so. And you can just simply say, hey, yeah, I mean, I was expecting to make $3,000 to $4,000. Um, you know, on this, whatever the case was, like I was just gonna quickly wholesale it, or I was gonna quickly flip it to one of another buyer that I know for just a quick, 3, 4, $5,000 kind of referral fee. But now the seller is backing out, and I had every intention on closing the property. So if you want, you can just kind of pay me what I was expecting to make on that deal, and you can kind of move forward with it, and I'll remove my memorandum. Again, as long as you had a buyer, right? Because it's a fine line with memorandums on using them ethically and unethically. If you don't have a buyer, then I would say avoid it, because again, you are not 100% confident that you would have actually been able to close it anyways. But if you're 100% confident, or 90% plus confident that you would have been able to close on that, I'm definitely going to look into that. Yeah, yeah, check it out. Do it sooner rather than later, because if the other buyer is aware of the situation, which I'm sure he or she is, because the seller is telling him or her, hey, Don Juan was going to buy my contract, but I'm going to go with you because you're going to offer me more, than if the other buyer, you know, if the other buyer is has any type of kind of awareness of the situation, then they're going to be moving with haste. They're going to try to close on that as soon as possible, knowing that you have every right to file a memorandum and to cloud title, because you're getting screwed out of the deal. So if it is something that you're going to pursue, I would recommend doing it sooner rather than later. All right. All right. Let me organized. All right. So my prop stream, oh man, turned into a goo right before our eyes. No, not even. Appreciate it, but I have a lot of knowledge. I do a lot of self education. Now it's just about implementing it and putting in that work. That's what I don't want to shy away from. It's very easy to sit back and watch a bunch of YouTube videos, but a whole other thing to sit on the dialer for hours and put in that work. So I'm going to, before I need to either redo my prop stream. I won I won WON. I won a 1 ONE year subscription of PropStream last year, and it just ran out. So I need to do it. For some reason. There we Be right back. I gotta grab my wallet. I agree to the terms and conditions. Understand that after my 7-day free trial, I will be billed 97 per month. I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. Saying right now too, I don't know if anybody here doesn't use PropStream. I would definitely recommend it. I use it for like all aspects of my business. I use PropStream to comp. I use PropStream to build my driving for dollars list within there. I cross-reference PropStream before I add properties to my driving for dollars list so that I can be sure it's worth marketing to. Um, I cross-reference PropStream to ensure that the property hasn't already been purchased within like the last couple of months, um, and I'm wasting my time and money to market it to them. I also pull free lists from PropStream. I definitely think it's worth it. PropStream for $100 a month, and the reason I bring that up is because they have a little. It's like $25 credit for anybody new or existing who signs up before the 27th of December, I think is what it said. So I would check that out if you're interested or you've been on the fence about it. You'll get a 7-day free trial and $25 credit, I do believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's the way that I'm understanding that. And I saw that it has a driving for dollars. Uh, I didn't know that, but I guess PropStream has a mobile app, and you can like track your route and drive for dollars using PropStream. I don't know how built out it is. I'd imagine it's probably not as robust as Deal Machine or Batch Driven or any of these other things that the gurus are pushing, but that may be something to consider. All right, I'm gonna hop over to my text. Okay, so all right, this is something that I wanted to do. I want to double check my texting campaigns to make sure that no texts are going out inappropriately on Christmas Eve. I don't really know how I would do that. To be honest, I'm not going to do that. I could care less if they go out on Christmas Eve. Um, I'm not going to send any out today. Uh, Texts are still going to get sent today and tomorrow for the people who I added to the campaign yesterday. So that's all good. And I just don't want to start messing with the campaigns and throwing it off. If they get sent out on Friday, so be it. I know for a fact they're not going to get sent out on Saturday since my campaigns are turned off on the weekends. So that may be something that I might be no, just because I don't want to be so locked in on the weekends myself. I just like to have the ability to work on the weekends if I choose to do so, but I don't want to feel a sense of obligation to hop on just because these texts are being sent out. So that's good. I wanted to do that, but I literally just talked myself out of it, so I won't. What I do want to do is transfer some money into my business account so that when this free trial ends for PropStream, it can bill me and I don't get automatically canceled. Mhm. And then I'm going to, I know a bunch of texts are going to get sent out today, again, for day two of the campaign, of the people that I just added to the campaign yesterday. And then I'm just going to start over here on my texting platform with my follow ups to see who I'm set to follow up with today. Um, Nobody really, but I do want to do this. And then I'm going to cash out my buddy because I lost a bet. Oh, I need to free up some space. Gosh, I don't know. What is going on? All right. All right. All right. All right. So I got two that I wanted to, I'm going to do this right now, refer over to my coaching program. If you've been tuning in, I wanted to kick these over. So call for the tomorrow at hosting a call for the partnership program. You're currently in a partnership relationship. All right. Just want to toss these over. These are leads that are a bit, beyond my ability, I would think, uh, to close myself. Well, two things. One is like I don't want to just like play around with these sellers because they're serious sellers, serious investors. Excuse me. The one is the gentleman who has six single family properties that may want to sell or finance all of them. So he got back to me yesterday with what he would be expecting. It didn't seem very reasonable at all, but I want to kick that over. My coaching program has a like a like a he refers to it as office hours. He has somebody on his team dedicated to call leads like this for people that are a part of his program, so that I can just kind of refer it over to them and say, hey, this is beyond me. Yeah, I'd love if you guys could give him a call and maybe bring it, to a contract. Um, and if not, it's like kind of no harm, no foul because I don't really feel confident in my ability to bring it to a contract, anyways. So uh, it's kind of like people are in my coaching program. I've built business models around this specifically, just generating the leads and then kicking it over to them to close. So I'm not doing that for all of my leads because I want to, obviously improve my skills and be able to take down, 100% of the assignment fees on some of these. But for the ones that are kind of just like beyond me, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more um, robust and complex, I'm just gonna start kicking those over to them to call because they go live when they call your leads as well. So I can hop in, listen in, take note of how she is discussing this with the people, with the sellers. So again, no harm, no foul, really. If anything, it's beneficial. So I'm going to do that right now and submit these leads. What name does the seller know you by, Eric? Property owner info. So the first one I'm going to submit over to them is um, Jimmy is his name. We have been going back and forth about his 6 properties. And this is one where I wanted to submit it over to them anyways because my coach may actually end up buying these if it works out. He's expanding into the Houston market. So I guess I'll just give them one address here of the 6. Texas. It's not really the funnest to listen to or watch, but uh, just kind of documenting my day here. This is what I'm getting into today. Property owner's full name, property owner's phone number, and I'm being transparent with these sellers as well. I'll kind of tell you um, how I ended the conversation with this gentleman, so that it's like, so when I first talked to the guy, I told him, and this is how I've been approaching a lot of sellers as of lately, approaching the end of the year, to kind of create a little bit of urgency and to preface the conversations with urgency so that when I revisit the urgency at the end of the conversation, if we get into negotiations, it doesn't come as a surprise, right? So I've been opening with saying, hey, me and my partners do have some cash on hand. We're looking to buy something before the end of the year, so that again, if the conversation furthers and we get into negotiations, I can revisit that urgency and say, okay, just as a reminder, we are looking to pull the trigger on something before the end of the year here. We are taking a look at a few other properties. Obviously we're talking specifically, and I want to be sure that you are a priority to me right now. So if however you want to phrase the urgency, but again, I preface the conversation with, we have cash. We're trying to get something before the end of the year, so that when I bring that up later in the conversation, it doesn't come as a surprise and it's not as salesy. So that's what I mentioned to this gentleman. But he responded, and I said, "So we're looking to buy one, maybe 2 properties before the end of the year." That's what I've been saying. And then the conversation opens up, and then I learn because he says, "Well, I mean, that property you texted me about and that we're talking about right now is only one of my 6 properties. If I sell that one, I'm going to want to sell all 6." And then I quickly responded with, "Okay, well, we have cash on hand to be able to buy maybe 1 or 2 of them, but it wouldn't be a problem to raise the capital in order to, buy the others." So now that the conversation has furthered, yesterday I reached back out and I was like, "Hey, wanted to round back, see if you've given any thought. I know last time we talked, you weren't necessarily interested in a cash offer, but you mentioned you may be open to seller financing. If you were to sell all of them for cash, what do you think your bottom dollar would be? Or if seller financing was the route you'd want to take, did you have any expectations regarding the terms?" And then I said, "Don't know if you recall, but I personally only have enough cash on hand to take down 1 or 2 of these properties. So I spoke with a partner of mine that would actually be interested in coming in on the deal with me. If it's still something you're interested in, I'd love to put you guys in contact to continue the conversation." And then he gave me his terms, what he would be expecting for a cash offer, what he would be expecting for seller finance terms. And then I said, "Okay, I'm going to bring this to my partner. We'll discuss and reach back out with our thoughts. It will likely be after the holiday season. So if I don't speak with you before then, have a happy holidays." He's like, "Understood," and likewise. So I mention all of this because I want to preface it. I don't want this woman who's going to reach back out to him to come as a surprise, and him being like, "Oh, okay, who are you? I was talking to Derek about these properties." So now that I've mentioned it, it's not going to come as a surprise to him. So I don't have his email address. I don't think. I don't. Single family. Yeah, this form is really set up for one property submission. So I got to include all the notes in here. 3-2-88, 3-2-88. Here it goes. 76. Parcel ID number. Is the property under contract? No. Seller's asking price or contract price. 700. Notes on asking price. This is for 6 single family properties. Hinted. What is the current condition of the property per conversation with the seller? Okay, this is a little difficult. All 6 of his properties have had the roof replaced in the last 10 years. All have central AC. 2 of the properties had foundation issues, but have been resolved. All properties seem to be middle of the road condition, rent ready, livable, etc. No major repairs seem to be needed on any of them, but all of them could use sounds like average repair job in order to bring them all the way up to speed. So his motivation, reason to sell. Sees it as an opportunity to liquidate and get out of the single family. Sees it as an opportunity to liquidate his portfolio and get out of single family. There's a timeline to sell, not in a rush, but mention that if an agreement could be made, he wouldn't want to drag it out. There's a seller's call availability. Seems to be open a majority of the time. What services are you interested in? JV, crispy, empire, disposition. All of the above. If you lock it up, I can dispo. Like Chris mentioned that he may want these if the seller finance terms are attractive. Any JV deal that we do will be done as a 50-50 split. I agree. Google Dropbox links for property pictures. Don't have a YouTube link for videos. Don't have a other attachment that could help us in getting the property sold. Nothing. Attachments. Nothing. I'm going to go ahead and submit this to them. All right. Now I'm going to leave a note for myself. Submitted to for. All right. Uh, office hours. Do that tomorrow morning. Let's see what time I'm going to be available tomorrow. 9 a.m. is when the office hours starts. 9 a.m. See if I'll be available tomorrow at that time. I will be. So tomorrow at 9 a.m. All right, boom. So that's good to go. If that ends up working out, that'd be golden. If not, so be it. It was just a good conversation that I had with that gentleman, and it opens my eyes to the fact that I can keep up in the conversation with investors that have multiple properties, right? I would have usually, or in the past, I would have shied away from having that conversation altogether, but I embraced it, and I'm glad that I did because I was definitely able to keep up. And now he's like throwing out numbers though that doesn't really make sense to me, and for two reasons. It doesn't make sense because one, it's kind of going over my head. I'm just a little ignorant and uneducated on seller finance to the point where the stuff he's saying is like a little bit foreign to me. But two, based on my knowledge of seller finance, it seems as if the numbers that he's throwing out just don't really make sense to pursue as a buyer. It seems like he's kind of asking for the world, right? Um, he could just be positioning, like, or what's the word? He could just be yeah, positioning in terms of negotiation, right? Giving out the highest so that he, just like we give out an anchor price so that we have room to work up in negotiations. It seems as if he's asking for the ceiling, knowing that he's going to have to come down a little bit. It seems as if that's what he's doing. Again, I'm a little uneducated in terms of seller finance, but based off of my knowledge currently, it seems as if the terms that he's proposing is just really unattractive. He's asking for 8% interest, which is high. He's asking, but he's asking for interest only payments for the first 3 years, something like that. He wants the term to be 3 years. I don't know if he meant amortized over 3 years, which definitely wouldn't make sense. I mean, I guess it may, but it's just the way that he's positioning it and proposing it. It's like not. It's still just a cash offer. He's just giving me 3 years to pay it off, as opposed to going all in one lump sum. Um, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I'd love to kind of pick this woman's brain about how she's gonna approach it, and I'd love to listen in, and hopefully he answers when she calls tomorrow morning, and I'll definitely give you guys an update on that. And then this next one, Morris is the gentleman who has a property out in Austin, not Houston. He has 30 properties himself, a majority of them being in Houston. I approached him about one of his properties in Houston, and he was like, I'm not going to sell that one, but I have one in Austin if you want to sell. Comes to find out, a majority of his properties are in Houston, and he just has established a really good working relationship with a handyman out in Houston. So now he wants to just kind of um, reallocate all of his resources into the Houston market because he has this reliable handyman that's doing a lot of the maintenance on his rentals, whereas he doesn't have that out in Austin. So he wants to sell this place in Austin and possibly just buy a new place out in Houston with the proceeds. The way that it's looking, it looks like it's a really good deal, huge spread, but he is kind of the same thing, like wanting his cake and eating it too. This is the gentleman who wants to wait until after we close to give his tenant a 30-day notice. He wants me to put up 1% earnest money. In this case, would be $2,000. He wants me to waive my inspection period. So essentially, my earnest money would go hard and non refundable from day one because I have no other out, right? I mean, I guess I could get creative and figure out another way that I can back out of the deal. But that's what's going on with him is he just got screwed over by another buyer who backed out last minute. So that's why he's very hesitant and asking for all these things. So I just kind of have to come up with a way of reassuring him that I'm not going to do that. And I'm also not just going to give him everything that he wants because I have to protect my investment. I can't put up $2,000 non-refundable earnest money from the jump, and I can't wait until after we close for you to issue your tenant a 30-day notice. I told him straight up. I was like, "Well, that doesn't make sense because after I close, they're going to be my tenants. They're not going to be your tenants." And he was like, "Well, yeah, I get that, you know." So I don't know. He just needs to he needs to place a little bit more trust into me. But I understand. Again, he got screwed over and got his time wasted by somebody recently within the last 2 weeks. But he did send me a bunch of pictures, so I'm gonna go ahead and refer this one over. And this is the same situation. I'm gonna refer this over to my coaching program's office hours to see if they can lock it up and help me dispo and all that good stuff. Um, but I texted him yesterday saying after he sent me all the pictures, said, "Hey, just wanted to confirm that I did receive these pictures. I appreciate you sending these over. I'm going to look them over this week with my partner, and she may be the one reaching back out to you to discuss. In all likelihood, you can expect her call after the holidays. Does that sound like a plan?" And he sent me a thumbs up emoji. So again, I want to make sure that I'm like handing it off to the woman who's getting ready to call so that it doesn't come as a huge surprise to these people. Like, why is this person uh, why is who are you? I've been talking to Derek about these properties. So I'm gonna do that right now.
I'm getting ready to head out soon.
Okay.
And I can see I go to the bathroom.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm gonna let him in here because
Sure.
he might go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Can I have the door open?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah. I'm gonna hop off real quick. I'll be back in like 30 minutes or so. Gonna take my dog out for a little walk, have him go to the bathroom and all that good stuff. Uh, I'll see you guys in a little bit, and I'm gonna kind of do this off stream as well. Submit this last lead over to my coaching program so that when I hop back on in a little bit, I can just get right onto the dialer. So appreciate you guys. See you guys in a little bit.